Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern. Celtics better, Tanner Kern. And you can't teach that. That threw me off a little bit, but it was worth saying. Bada boom. Realest guy in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell. How you doing?
I'm feeling a little thrown off. I was getting prepared to do the certified G bona fide stud, but you deserve this because I was on the show saying you got to bet Mavs money line the first two games. They're going to get a split. You make money. I lost a lot of money on those Mavericks and the Celtics. They're your team. You picked them to win the finals, and they're just playing beautiful basketball right now.
Grant, they're not only my team, they're Boston's team. This place is erupting right now. Every game outside TD Garden, the first two at least after they won, it looks like we've won the Super Bowl. I hate to see what's going to happen after they close it out. And I hope they close it out at home if they do. And I know you're talking about the series not being over, blah, blah, blah. But say it goes in favor of the Celtics, Boston may burn to the ground.
I mean, look, okay, I promise I'm not trying to take shots here. I promise I'm not. Boston calling itself title town, like with the Patriots and everything, sure, I understand that. The Celtics have only won, I think, 4 titles since the merger, and one since the mid 80s. So this is a team that at least, or a town when it relates to this team, have been a little starved for championships. And I can understand how frustrating it's been to have a team get to the conference finals every year and fail to win it. So if they do win this one, I mean, that city's going to go crazy.
Yeah, but Title Town it's a mindset. It's what was built, the foundation. Larry Bird, all these guys, even before Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics, Bruins, all these guys built that Title Town. You're not going to just say, "Hey, we haven't won a championship in a while, so we're not going to this is Boston's one of the greatest sports cities in America, Grant."
So I've never actually, I don't think I've been to a game in Boston.
Any game like Red Sox, Patriots?
No, I was just thinking about, I've seen the Red Sox play, but I don't think I've ever been to Fenway. Yeah, I've never been to a game in Boston.
Fenway blows. I know we talked about this a little bit last time. I'm not a big fan of, I like Fenway, but the seats are so small. If you're a little overweight, like just a tad bit overweight, don't get seats up under the overhang where you have the poles in your way, because you're not going to fit. If your ass is a little big, better watch out.
Oh, dude. So, I mean, I'm obviously I'm not overweight, but I have broad shoulders, right? And I mean, you're 6'4", so you're probably the same way. Whenever I get on an airplane, I'm always spilling into the person's seat next to me. And I just got done traveling last week, went out to Denver to see my mom, came back on, Sunday morning. Flight got delayed, got home at 5 a.m. It's a different story. But both on the way there and on the way back, my flight was only at 50% capacity. So everybody was able to get a seat between them. That was so nice. I got to tell you.
Yeah, that must have been nice. Traveling, I hate traveling. It sucks. I hate flying.
It really does. And I mean, I'm growing more open to it as I get older, because it's cool to just go experience different things, but it really just does suck. You lose a day, the day before, you kind of lose because you're packing and preparing and everything. If you've got pets or, if you've got kids, you got to find people to watch them. And then there's this adjustment to the time zone when you get there, and different food. It just sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. But it doesn't suck, this podcast. And that's why you got to subscribe to it. You got to you got to share, you got to do it all. And you got to help us take this thing to the absolute moon. And that's where we're going right now with our Celtics versus Mavericks conversation. Grant, I'll let you kick it off here. First, though, I will say the Celtics are the balls.
So this has been a joy to watch just from a basketball perspective. And do I have players that I like more than others? Sure. But as you know, I mean, you crack on me for the Lakers and LeBron and stuff like that. But I do truly try to watch all these games as objectively as possible, because I'm a basketball fan. I don't have really a team that I love. I mean, again, I have a couple players I like, but I don't really root for them above all else. I'm not blinded by that. And so for me to watch this series, it's just been so fun to see what the Boston Celtics are doing. And there's going to be so much discourse about, is Jayson Tatum, how lucky is he getting? Because he's been the 5th best player on his own team, stuff like that. I'm not going to say that. When it comes to Jayson Tatum, even though he's not shot the ball well, he has been instrumental in what the Celtics have been able to do. He starts off game one guarding Daniel Gafford, the rim runner. He ends up taking possessions on Kyrie Irving. That type of defensive positional versatility is from your best player, from your star player, and for him to not have it going but be able to lock in on the defensive end, that's been huge. He had 11 assists in game 2. He's been a double-digit rebounder practically throughout the entire playoffs. But I look around this whole team, And honestly, I think the two most important pieces in these first two games have been Joe Mazzulla and Brad Stevens. Because Joe Mazzulla in that game one, that was a masterclass of a game plan. What they did was they came out, they said, what do we know about the Dallas Mavericks? Well, Luka's going to create everything. They have been just abusing the corner threes. PJ Washington led the playoffs in corner threes. Derrick Jones Jr. was shooting, I think, high 40s percent from the corners. They said no corner threes. Dallas only took 3 corner 3 attempts the entire game, and they said no alley-oops. Dallas was leading the playoffs. They had 54 alley-oops. They have won through the first 2 games in this series. So that game plan that Joe Mazzulla has constructed, and also his ability to get his team to carry it out, he deserves tremendous praise, especially when you think about what happened with his meltdown with the Heat last year. And then Brad Stevens, he picks up from Danny Ainge in assembling this roster, but just the moves that they've been able to make. Like, what was one of the biggest moves of the offseason? It was Drew Holiday. They bring him over there. What does he do? He scores 27 points or 26 points, gets you 11 rebounds. He was pretty much the whole reason that you were able to win game 2. Kristaps Porzingis, again, got injured a little bit last game, but he's been so huge off the bench because he's spacing to 30 feet on the perimeter, and then he's attacking mismatches. And the Mavericks just don't know what to do because they're always in rotation after Luka gets blown by. And then after that, Porzingis just always finds either an open spot or a mismatch. It's just been beautiful to watch. Like, I cannot credit the Celtics highly enough for what they've done.
Yeah, well, going off the mismatches first, like if you look back to game 1, I think they did a little better of a job against Porzingis in game 2, but it was like Josh Green was a primary defender. Jaden Hardy was a primary defender at times. Like, these dudes are 6'5" trying to guard Kristaps Porzingis. He had literally no arc on the basketball at all. He was just like literally throwing it right over their head. So that was cool in game 1 to see him come out on fire. Al Horford had a very good game in game 1 too. Those two were dominant together. And going off Jayson Tatum, like I think Jayson Tatum's getting a lot of negligent comments on Twitter and all this stuff. But like in the end of the day, Jayson Tatum, I know he didn't shoot the ball early in the game yesterday, but he still came out, had a really good third and fourth quarter when it came to scoring. He made plays when he had to, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. Jaylen Brown's been fantastic throughout the entire series because he's playing great defense as well as scoring and assisting and rebounding and all that. But this has been a total team effort for the Boston Celtics. And when you look at Dallas, it's clear they're just not ready for this moment. Luka's doing everything he can right now, but Kyrie's not stepping up. Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Washington, I know they had 17 and 11 yesterday, but this whole team just looks out of sorts. This is the first time we've actually seen the Mavericks look like they don't know what has hit them. And we're finally seeing the Boston Celtics play up to the capability of this is an amazing roster. And now we're seeing it, in full force. And we're seeing what it actually looks like as an amazing roster where we haven't necessarily even seen that in the playoffs this year. It's been a lot of, we're just playing better opponents. Now it's been a lot of we're playing an inferior opponent. Now we're the superior opponent and we're showing it. And Dallas doesn't know what hit them.
Yeah, and they've been outstanding with their execution. Again, they are just relentless with what they're doing on the offensive end. First of all, they're doing things that the Thunder failed to do, the Timberwolves failed to do. They are finding Luka Doncic wherever he is, whoever he's guarding. They're saying, hey, you're guarding Derrick White. Derrick White, come here. Set me a screen. We're going to get the switch onto Luka, and we are going to attack him. And look, Luka's not a great defender. He actually had a very good defensive season. He was great as far as field goal percentage allowed when he was the primary defender. But again, not the most athletic guy in the world, which is funny to say for someone who's in the NBA. But we also know he's extremely injured. He's got the back problem. He's got a knee on one side and ankle on the other. So it's like a wounded animal. They're just out there hunting him and they're saying, come here, come try to stay in front of me. And he can't. I mean, even his best possessions where he'll stay, Tatum drives right, he'll slide right, he crosses, he'll stay in front of him. Tatum will still find a way around him, even if it doesn't happen the first time. Jaylen Brown's getting by him, Derrick White's getting by him, pretty much everybody, they are getting around Luka. And what happened as the game wore on was just the relentlessness of the Celtics driving kick. By the time you got to the third quarter, the Mavericks were kind of always in rotation. Luka gets blown by, you got Gafford step up, then you've got to have the weak side defender rotate over. Celtics go, swing, and now they've got a wide open 3-pointer. That felt like it was happening the entire second half. And this game could have been a blowout because Boston did not shoot the 3 ball well. Granted, that's going to happen because they are a bit of a streaky team. But the point is, they could have won this game by 20 points, and you wouldn't feel like it was unjust for what they were actually doing on the court.
Yeah, the Mavericks just don't know what hit them. It's really cool to see. And Luka, like, we can say, okay, yeah, he's injured, the back, the knee, everything, the ankle, whatever. But you can't put this game on Luka being injured. Like, that's the great part about it. Luka could be 100% healthy doing everything he could do out there. The Celtics would still be winning these games because they're playing like a team. Like, this is the best the Celtics have ever played. Like, these 2 games have been their best 2 games of the season, in my opinion. And they're coming together at the right time. And I said something on the show last time, Grant, heading into the series, where I was like, I think we've gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals and we haven't been able to deliver. We were in the NBA Finals a couple of years ago. We didn't deliver. I thought that, like, pent up energy, that pent up, sadness that they've had in those moments was going to play out here. And I think they've all kind of made that decision, say, hey, we're going to come out and we're going to play our best basketball because we're getting a championship this year. And you can see that how they're playing. They're playing desperate. Like, they're not desperate's not the best word, but they're playing like we're not going to lose this series.
They absolutely are. And I will say there have been moments for Dallas there, because in game 1, they brought that thing back to 8 points in the third quarter after they were down 31, however many it was. Still, they were not playing well. They're not playing well as a team. They had it within 8 points. And then I think Derrick, I'm trying to remember because it was like 4 or 5 days ago now, but Derrick Lively, I think, committed 2 or 3 fouls in a row. They were able to get some free throws off of that. I think Kyrie dribbled off of his foot, which is so uncharacteristic. And we are going to talk about Kyrie in a second. But and the Celtics just went on a 9-0 run and they brought it back out to a 17-point lead. We talk about this all the time. When you're the team that's trailing, it's all about getting it to a certain number. Like, if you're down huge in the first half, it's okay, can we get it to 20, 18 at halftime? Or if you're down, 15 or so, it's like, all right, can we get this back to 8? But it's not just making that first run. It's once you get there, you have to keep pushing. So again, in that situation, you're down 31, you get to it down 8. Now it's got to be a 4-point game. You got to keep going, and they weren't able to do that. In game 2, it was a very back and forth game. I think it was the fourth quarter when the Celtics went up 6, and you heard Mike Breen say, and this is the largest lead of the game. It felt like Boston was in control of that game more times than not, even though the lead had stayed within 6 points. But then at the end of the game, they're able to blow it open. And are they winning those clutch games within the final 2 minutes? No. But we said before the series started, that's not their win condition. What they need to do is they need to have a lead going into those final minutes. And they've absolutely done that. And it's not been easy. They have responded to adversity. And again, they've just been great in these first 2 games.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Celtics tried to lose at the end, but there was a moment where the Mavericks closed that gap to a point where they could have made a run if the Celtics didn't come out and make a shot. And they found a way to make a shot at the end. I think,
it was Derrick White's block, because the Mavs were down 4, down 5 in transition, and he blocks a dunk. That was amazing.
And then I think they made a shot right after.
Yep.
Yeah. So that sequence was awesome. But here's a quote, Grant. I was scrolling Twitter this morning, and I found this quote from Kristaps Porzingis. This is the mentality of Boston right now. They asked him, are you going to sit game 3? He goes, I will die out there. That's awesome. That gets me juiced up.
What's amazing about Porzingis too, game 1 was the first game of his career that he'd played in the playoffs after the first round. He'd never been to the second round, never been to the conference finals. And keep in mind, he got injured against Miami. So you talk about those pent up feelings and the emotion that goes into it. This is Porzingis' first year in Boston, but he was on the Wizards last year. And when he was with the Mavericks, he was basically relegated to sitting in the corner, not shooting, and he barely played at the end of the series. And that's why they ended up trading him, because they thought he was basically useless. So now that he's getting this opportunity, you're seeing how he's attacking it, and he's been awesome.
Yeah, I don't think he likes Luka either, honestly. I don't think they have a good vibe.
No, there were reports that came out a few days before the finals started that apparently they just did not get along.
Yeah, and Luka shut it down, but he's like, no, we get along fine. But if the rumors are 99% true, I would say a lot of the time. So they're definitely, I bet they don't get along. But honestly, Kristaps Porzingis, you got to be a little better than you were last night. I had 10 points in the first half, and then you can't hit your points total in the second half. 6 points, that's all you needed, buddy. Need more out of him.
Did you bet his over?
I bet his over. I had a good night because I bet his over. Daniel Gafford over was that was so good.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was a good one. His live total was like 3.5 after the first quarter. I didn't play it, but because he missed the 2 free throws at the end. I had that, and then I had Luka over threes, which was minus 155, and I had Kristaps. I think that was it. But
I
I had
actually had Porzingis
oh,
under, so I was happy with that.
Drew Holiday. I had PRA, which
Okay,
smacked,
well that
obviously.
definitely hit.
Yeah, I was a little worried though because he got into foul trouble. He had 2 in the first quarter, and I'm like, oh no. And then he comes out. He basically hit it at half. I think he had 23 PRA at half, and he did 23.5. So it was good.
So, I mean, you were talking about Luka at the start there. Like, don't get it twisted. Luka is not the reason the Mavericks are losing this series.
Well,
Luka has been incredible.
Let me start this segment off, Grant. Let me start this little section off, and then I'll
Okay.
let you get the in-depth breakdown. But the real reason, like Grant can give all these basketball terms and say why Kyrie's not doing well, but the real reason that the Mavericks really had no chance in this series is because of the curse of Lucky. So when Kyrie dragged his feet on Lucky, he's now 0-12 since that moment. So the curse of Lucky is the real reason that he has no chance. And he doesn't play well. What goes around comes around. Karma is a real thing. And I think that's what you can sum this performance up to a little bit.
So I will say, I was talking about Luka just before, I'll get back to him. We'll talk about Kyrie right now. It's just not, it doesn't look like I'm watching Kyrie. It looks like I'm watching somebody else. It's not that he's playing bad. It would be one thing if he was playing bad. It's that just everything about him. Like, what do we know Kyrie is the best finisher ever, the best ball handler ever. I've seen him dribble off his leg in this series. I've seen him travel. I've seen him do an up and down. I've seen him miss layups. It literally looks like a different player. It looks like he's been possessed, but in the wrong way, in the wrong sort of way. And I'm not saying he's supposed to guard Porzingis because, Porzingis is over a foot taller than him, but he's getting put in mismatches, whether it is Porzingis, whether it is Tatum. He's getting scored on. He had 6 assists, but I mean, pretty much all of those were just to Luka because, Luka was incredible. That's what I started off by saying. Like, this isn't Luka's fault. Luka's been unreal shooting the ball. But I just don't know what's happened to Kyrie. Like, and this is the thing too. If Kyrie's giving you 25, 27 points a game, Mavericks win game 2, and maybe when that stretch in game 1 where they have it 2-8 points, if Kyrie's on, maybe they bring it back. Maybe it's a tie game, and maybe you're able to get to those final 2 minutes, which, again, I love to say, Dallas had the best record in clutch games in the entire NBA. If Kyrie is even just, a lesser version than his average self, this could be 2-0 Dallas. I'm not saying it would be. It's on the board. But the fact he's just been so bad, like, it really does just look like it's Luka and his friends out on the court. And Dallas is not going to – they're going to get swept if Kyrie does not at least step up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he's been really bad. I don't think he's rattled. But here's another thing. I don't think he's rattled by the Boston crowd. Like, he doesn't look like when Boston's booing him every time he touches the ball. It was less in game 2 than it was in game 1. I thought game 1 was pretty loud. But when he doesn't look rattled, he just doesn't look like himself. Like, he looks like he doesn't know what hit him. That's more where I'm in this. But, like, as far as, like, he's still making good plays, but he's turned the ball over. He's just doing things that you just haven't seen throughout the playoffs. And this whole clutch duo, they don't look clutch right now. And the reason for it is because of Kyrie. It's not Luka. Luka's doing everything he can. And if Kyrie could join him, like you were saying, it might turn into a win or a competitive game. But he's just looked out of sorts.
I don't think he's rattled. I agree with you. It's almost the opposite. I think he looks too relaxed.
Too calm, yeah.
Have you seen him when he's missing these shots? Like, he's kind of bowing his head, not doing this, but like he's doing like the focus, like try to lock in a little bit. He's taking deep breaths and everything. And like, I understand that. And he's at a different place in his life now. And I'm happy for him. You've heard him say in his interviews, like, he's much more at peace. He doesn't think you represented him well in Boston. I think everybody agrees with that. But again, it is like he's trying to calm himself down too much. Like, this is war. This is 4 wins to win the NBA finals. Like, you have to have some level of anger and aggression. And if you got to channel it, of course, like you don't want to just run around like a madman. But if you're going out there thinking that it's just another day, this is what I do for work, and that's not gonna win. Like, you're seeing Boston play with that level of desperation, like you said earlier. They are willing to lay everything out there on the line, and I just don't think this calm approach is going to get it done.
Yeah, I this is kind of like a prize fight, like a boxing match when somebody just gets punched in the face and it just takes them out of sorts the rest of the night. Like they just don't, you can chalk it up to basketball terms, however you want to say it, but at the core, when you're just watching this game, it looks like the Mavericks came into the series confident. I think they came into the series thinking they could win the series. And Boston has just done what Boston really hasn't done all season and put together 2 complete games where everyone's coming together. And the Mavericks don't know what to do. That's what they're making the Mavericks. Remember I said like the Dallas Mavericks were a bunch of ragamuffins with Luka and Kyrie. And I don't want to, all these guys, these role players for Dallas have been big. I don't want to say they haven't, but it truly looks like this is the ragamuffin show against the best team in basketball.
Yeah. We'll kind of wrap it up here. We'll talk about finals MVP and also just the series price. So right now the Celtics are minus 1,000 to win the finals, which I think is appropriate considering they were minus 220, whatever it was beforehand. And the Mavs are plus 660 to make a comeback. This is the thing that Tanner and I were talking about before we started recording. He said, is the series over? I said no, because the game 2 performance from Dallas was better than the game 1 performance. Again, it wasn't great, but they were able to keep it closer. Thought they were a little bit better on defense. They're going back home. And anytime a series starts 2-0, we automatically assume it's over. Like, what did we say about Denver and Minnesota? We said, well, Minnesota's over. Minnesota's going to win. This one's over. Now, Minnesota did win, but Denver won the next 3 games. Like, we have seen this teeter-totter before. It happened in the 21 finals. The Phoenix Suns go up 2-0, and then the Bucks win 4 straight. It happened not quite this way, but remember the Celtics were up 2-1 against the Warriors. Steph Curry said, I hope you guys enjoyed your last win. And then the Warriors win 3 straight. So it's not out of the question. Like, I don't want people to just assume this series is over. But at the same time, can you make the argument Dallas has played better? No, you can't. Boston's clearly been the better team. It's just on Dallas now to respond to, like you said, getting punched in the face.
If Boston can put together this game, even game 2, another X amount of games, whatever it takes to win the series, they're not losing the series. I think minus 1,000, obviously you're not going to pay that, but plus 600, what was it, 600, Grant? 6-1?
660.
Yeah, like that's not worth it to me right now. I would think they need to be closer to 10-1 to play that. But they are going back home. We were right about the series price. It's plus 2.5 or plus money because they are going back home instead of plus 3.5. I would potentially look at a plus 3.5 if they lost this game, to think if they could pull one together and do it, make it a gentleman's sweep. I wouldn't want to root for Dallas because I am rooting for Boston. I don't think this ends in a sweep. I think it's going to be 5 or potentially, if it goes 6 games, Dallas is starting to play a lot better because right now it looks like it's going to be 4 to 5 games.
Well, so I do, and keep in mind, like, I'm quote unquote the Dallas guy. I bet on them. I picked them before the playoffs started to win the finals. So I guess you can say I am invested in them, but I just fail to see how they're going to generate better offense because, if Kyrie goes back to scoring 30 points, that's one thing. If we're just going to assume the game plays out as it is, Luka's doing everything he can. Like, Luka's shot making has just been ridiculous, especially in game 2. I have no bad things to say about Luka on offense, but Joe Mazzulla has basically said, we are not giving up corner threes no matter what. Like, they are letting Luka, if Luka gets by whoever's in front of him, they will let him get the layup just so they can stay attached to the guy in the corner. And they, it's a math thing. They would rather give up 2 points than 3. The corner 3 is the most point for point statistically efficient shot in all of basketball. And if that's not happening, like, you've seen some of the adjustments. Jason Kidd had Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington spotting up a little higher, like they were more above the break, top of the key instead of in the corners. But that's not their shot, and they took them in game 2, but they weren't able to make them. Like, you look at what happened with PJ Washington. Again, he takes more threes, but he only goes 1 of 5. Derrick Jones Jr. goes 0 for 3. So I struggle to see where the offense is going to come from. It's going to take some really good adjustments and probably on the defensive side for Dallas to come back.
It's going to take a lot, and it's going to take the Celtics to play down. Like, it's not only going to take the Mavericks playing great. It's going to be the Celtics need to not play well to lose this series, especially right now. And if the Celtics lose this series, I just don't want to. I think it would be crazy to see if the Celtics lost, and just the media that would happen out of this, because they have everything they need. Looking at you want to look at the
finals MVP odds?
Yeah, so this is a little wild. Tatum plus 105 because it's Jayson Tatum. Jaylen Brown plus 185. I think with all the news that has come out about Jaylen Brown, where Drew Holiday, I know he came out yesterday and said, I prefer them both. Like, I don't think JB is the better player, JT. You got Jason Kidd saying Jaylen Brown's the best player. Like, I think unless Tatum comes out and just blows the doors out on game 3 and game 4, which is very possible. And I think that's why you're getting that plus 105 price, him being the front runner and taking steps forward. I think you have to give this to Jaylen Brown if the series ended today.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Jaylen Brown, I think, has been their best player. I started the show by saying people are going to say Tatum's been the worst player in the starting lineup. I'm not here to say that, but I do think Jaylen Brown's been the best player. And I think Derrick White has probably been the second most important, with particularly what he's done on the defensive side. Like the timeliness of his plays in game 2, I think you can directly attribute to kind of their winning. Some of his threes, there was that big one where he jumped to catch a pass, barely touched the ground, and then jumps again to take that corner 3. Super hierarchical in the fourth quarter, it goes in. Both of his blocks, especially that one with less than a minute left. I think, again, the timeliness of his plays, I would have my finals MVP. Like, if we're just looking at the first 2 games, not projecting, I would have Jaylen Brown first, Derrick White second, probably Tatum third. Although it does feel a little harsh to Drew Holiday. I'd probably have him fourth.
Now, it could easily be Jayson Tatum. I think it's going to be Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown, a lot more value there for plus 185. But if they can give the award to Jayson Tatum, they will give the award to Jayson Tatum too. So that's another thing you got to factor in. If he finishes strong in 3 and 4, I think he still gets the award because he has been good when it comes to rebounding and assists. Like, he's doing whatever it takes to win, and there's something to be said for that. But this is Jaylen Brown's award to win right now.
This will be my final thing here before we move on, but I'm very, I don't want to say proud because, I don't know Tatum, but I guess I am proud. Like, his shot's not falling and he's not making stupid decisions. So he's not forcing shots. We saw it in the conference finals as well. Like, he was very good in the conference finals, obviously, but he didn't seem jealous that Jaylen Brown won the conference finals MVP. And if he was, I think you would have seen it with how he played in these games. He's not taking dumb shots. He's passing the ball. He's rebounding. He's playing defense. He's been able to check his ego a little bit. And one of the big reasons the Celtics have been so untrustworthy in big games is because Tatum and Brown have taken dumb shots. They haven't done that so far. And that's also part of the reason why they're up 2-0.
Can I say Jayson Tatum has forced some shots early in the games, though? Like, there's times where he should pass. Couple.
Yeah, maybe early in the games. I'll give you that.
Yeah, early. After that, he's settled and he's done a nice job. Celtics in 5. Go C's. Caitlin Clark time.
Yeah, let's close out by talking about Caitlin Clark.
All right. Well, Caitlin Clark got left off the Olympic team, and because apparently the committee did not know how her fans would feel about her playing like 5-10 minutes a game. I personally think that's crazy. Nobody's going to care. I'm sorry. Nobody's going to care. With all the other mega events happening at the Olympics, women's basketball is not going to be at the forefront without Caitlin Clark. So I think there's 2 sides here. You could take it from what's best for women's basketball, putting Caitlin Clark on the team for sure. She attracts millions and millions of people. What's best for Caitlin Clark? Based on all the running she's been doing, like going from the Final Four to the WNBA, like, it's probably best for her to take some time off. My question, though, is why isn't she on the 3-on-3 team at least? Why is Haley Van Lith on the 3-on-3 team? Is it because she was going for the big team, and since she didn't make it, she doesn't go in 3-on-3? Like, she's better than Brink and Haley Van Lith.
Yeah, so I wonder if they kept her off of that because maybe they think it's a little beneath her almost. Like I ran track and field, as you know. There's a relay. It's the 4x400 meter relay, but it's 2 guys and 2 girls. And countries don't put their best guys and their best girls on that team because it's, again, I don't want to say beneath them because these are still incredible athletes, but it's not the A team. So I just wonder if that's kind of what's happening here. But I mean, if we want to talk about the way with 3-on-3 works too, like, it's a lot more isolation based, like create your own shot. That's Caitlin Clark's specialty. So I'm a little confused why she was left off of that team, like you're saying, but
why?
The bigger story is obviously her not making the real team.
You know why, though? Because that would have got more attention than the real team. If she was on the 3-on-3 team knocking down 3-pointers nonstop, and it's a more fun game to watch. Like 3-on-3 basketball is a lot of fun. And it with
It's gonna
her,
be
like,
weird seeing it in the Olympics. Like, I don't know what to expect.
I don't either, but like if Caitlin Clark is like knocking down 3-pointers, she's going to get more coverage in that than the regular team. And I think that's maybe a reason they did it too. I think this comes down to put all the how people feel aside. I don't think Diana Taurasi and all these old heads wanted her on the team because this will be Diana Taurasi's last one. It better be her last one. I don't think she wanted Caitlin Clark getting all the media coverage in her last one. That's my take. And I like Diana Taurasi. I'm a UConn guy.
I actually think that's a solid take. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm not saying Diana Taurasi's Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan helped keep Isaiah Thomas off the Dream Team, and you have players on the Dream Team who say that it's an outrage that happened. Scottie Pippen wanted Isaiah Thomas on the Dream Team. Michael Jordan's own teammate, Charles Barkley, who arguably was the best player on the Dream Team as far as what actually happened at the Olympics. He wanted Isaiah Thomas on the Dream Team, and it didn't happen. So do I think some of the older veteran players could have influenced the decision? Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it happen before.
Yeah, 100% when you think about it, because she's like, she has a lot of pull on USA Basketball. She's been with USA Basketball longer than I'm sure a lot of people that make the decisions have been with USA Basketball. And she probably said, this is my last one. She's playing 5 minutes a game. They're going to win a gold medal with her. Caitlin Clark doesn't make a difference in a gold medal. Caitlin Clark doesn't make a difference in a gold medal for the 3-on-3 tournament. But it's just, it's principle. Like, she's one of the best players in the WNBA, or the one the most talked about. She's 4th in assists. She's 13th or 14th in points. There's no reason she shouldn't be on this team.
No, and aside from the exposure and growing the sport, which I will say, if you're a professional athlete, you have some level of responsibility to market your sport. Do you remember after the Nuggets won the finals? Do you remember Jokic wasn't on the flyer for opening night? It was LeBron, Tatum, Luka, and maybe Durant. I forget who, but the Nuggets were playing and Jokic wasn't on the flyer. And it went back to his comments of how basketball is just a day job. Nobody really likes their job and all this stuff. You have a responsibility to grow the sport. And so if you are these older players, because I don't know if they made the decision or not. I don't know if the governing body made the decision, the Olympic Committee, whoever had the final say there. There is a level of responsibility to growing the game. And what we've seen with Caitlin Clark is that she puts butts in seats. She gets eyes in front of TVs. She has broken all sorts of records. I know Angel Reese says it's not just her. She's right to a small extent, but 98, 99% of it is what Caitlin Clark is doing. And when you have the opportunity to get her at the Olympics, not just to have the support of the basketball fans, but you're going to have just, people who like America, people who like other sports that happen to be watching. You can get the whole country behind this girl. You can get more exposure, get more money for the WNBA. It was a massive, gross negligence on their part to leave her off this team. And I know people are going to ask who's coming off the team, because if you want to put her on, someone's going to come off. You look at the roster. I look. These players are phenomenal. You can argue they're all better than Caitlin Clark right now, but they're not significantly better. At least most of them, to the point that it's worth leaving her off. Like Chelsea Gray, could she come off again? Phenomenal player. Maybe she could. I don't know. You just got to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time to strike. Like, women's basketball is hot right now. There's no guarantee women's basketball is going to be in the same spot 4 years from now. There isn't, because the Caitlin Clark effect might die down a little bit and she's just going to become another player. Not saying that's going to happen, but now is the time to strike. Now you got the world stage, because nobody's going to watch the women's Olympic basketball team, because there are so many more events that you are competing with. Swimming, gymnastics is the primetime event at the Olympics, and swimming, gymnastics, swimming. Now you have the men's basketball team. You have all these other sports. I know.
And by the way, let me jump in.
Track and field.
And the men's basketball team is like, they've got Steph and Durant and LeBron, like they're rolling, and Embiid, they're rolling out the big dogs. So It's going to be hard if those games are on, similar times. It's going to be hard to get people to watch.
Well, just looking at reporters, if you're a reporter going over there for the Olympics, you don't want to cover the women's team without Caitlin Clark being there, because it's not the story. The story is going to be the men's team. And then to top it off, like I said, you got swimming, track and field, and gymnastics. Like, you're competing against 3 major primetime events. It's not gonna be as big of a success as it would have been.
You know what else too, Tanner? If you are someone going over there to cover the women's basketball team, one of the first questions you're asking, You think Caitlin Clark should have been on the team?
Yeah, you definitely get that's the story because that you need to get her into your content. I see, even with TikTok, if you put a Caitlin Clark TikTok out there, it does well. If you put a Caitlin Clark TikTok out there with Angel Reese, it does well. If you just do like a Diana Taurasi story, guarantee it's not going to do well unless people are just hating on her.
Yeah, which has happened. And by the way, also Arike Ogunbowale, she's phenomenal. I was very surprised she wasn't on this team as well. Again, it's not quite the same thing as Caitlin Clark, but it's another phenomenal player. I just feel like you got to find spots for these guys. Before Team USA men's team was announced, we were talking about some of our predictions for who was going to get on the team. I had Anthony Edwards on my team, and I said that, look, is he one of the 12 best players in the league? No, but he's right there. And the fact he's so young and marketable, you got to get him on the team. After the playoffs, we might view him as, yes, he is one of the top 12 players. I don't think he was before the playoffs, but it's the same thing with Caitlin Clark to me. Is she number 12? Maybe, maybe not. Is she number 13 or 14? Probably. And then you just got to get her on her. You just have to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Have to get it done. No other option. So anyways, Grant, that was Ride the Line. Great episode. Fun.
It was fun. Tanner, the Celtics are playing really well. Early. I don't want to say congratulations, but you're on the right course.
I just want to see a parade. I've never gone to a parade. There's been a lot of them, but I've never been like in Boston for a parade. So I'm very excited that hopefully we will get that very soon. But we'll see.
Are you going to get a little, man on the street thing going if you do go to the parade?
Yeah, probably. I'll probably have to, but I would rather just enjoy it. But we'll see. But anyways, Grant, why don't you take us out of here?
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Make sure that you have liked the video, subscribed, and drop some comments. Let us know what you think of Caitlin Clark. Should she be on the team? Let us know if the Mavericks can come back. That's going to do it for this episode. We will catch you all on the next episode of Ride the Line.